Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. And indeed, we have a lot of friends joining us. It's going to be a panel of four. Some folks are running slightly behind, i.e., Kay Asante. He's handling some family stuff. He should be joining us about maybe 15 minutes into the show. Pixelbit G will be here momentarily. Obviously, Hargeet is not here. He is currently hanging out with the Iron Lords and quite a few of the other community members in Boston right now for PAX East 2024. You know what? It really went over my mohawk. I should have gone. Mrs. Boom is actually mad that I didn't go, but well, I'm stuck behind because I didn't. It literally I forgot about it, but I will be going next year for sure. So shout out to the Iron Lord, shout out to C Money and Doodle. They're there. There's quite a few people that are there. I think Ham Solo is actually there as well. I saw him in a tweet from King David. Obviously boots on the ground. But listen, I had to flash the bat signal or the boom signal, if you will, and who responded? Crispy Bomb, the crispy truth. And we're going to be getting that today because we have a lot to get into. Lots of news today, Crispy. We got Marvel 1943. That's obviously the rise of Hydra. That game is being headed by oh my god, what is her name? Hennig.
Amy Henning.
Yes, yeah. So I'm happy for her. It looked crazy good. We also have I see some people in the chat talking about Microsoft has offered to buy TikTok for $100 million. Like, is that happening live on the air? I don't know. We have some bad news for PlayStation in regards to PlayStation VR 2.0. Obviously, they've halted production on that. That kind of rolls right into some of the really bad news that's going on with Bungie. Bungie is, I think, in a pickle, folks. And if they don't make a certain amount of money and profit for Sony, Sony will have the ability to dissolve their entire board and put their own people in there, basically taking over. And of course, well, because we're going to have people here that know about hardware. Let me tell you something, folks. I honestly believe that Microsoft, or specifically Xbox, dodged a bullet not going mid-gen refresh because, listen, some of the numbers for the PlayStation 5 Pro, the alleged numbers from the leak are impressive, sure. But when you hear Digital Foundry break it down, it's really not going to be that much more powerful. I think, to be honest with you, we saw Xbox do the right thing. They're going to move forward with new hardware that's going to jump Sony potentially by 2 years. Because if the Pro does come out this year, and let's say, for instance, holiday of 25 or first quarter of 26, we get the hybrid and the next console, which is, of course, going to be the next generation for Xbox. Well, that means that Sony is probably not going to be doing a PlayStation 6 at least for a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know, but Crispy Bomb, welcome, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for the invite. You know, it's been a long time since I've been on primetime. So, primetime, baby. Batman is here. It's going to be a good show. We got a lot to talk about. I think there's a lot of opinions and interjection in all of this thought process. But at the end of the day, like, you look at what we've seen, what we've heard, what we saw.
Yeah.
And I feel like one side is doing it a little better than others, but we're going to get into that.
Yeah, it's funny because I see some people talking about, like, for instance, Rise of the Ronin's about to release. Scored very well from Famitsu in Japan. If you don't know who Famitsu Wave is, they're the oldest publication currently in Japan. They've been there since the 80s. I believe they gave it 4 9s out of 10, which is pretty good. And they're very stingy for Famitsu Wave. They do not give out 9s very easily. So they quite enjoyed the game. I see a lot of people like myself who canceled the pre-order on it. I'll get it at the end of the year when it's like $30. because I didn't like what I was seeing in regards to the graphics. They looked a little dated for me. And I'm really playing a lot of stuff, but some of the conversation that's happening right now is with, of course, Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush taking up lots of the conversation in PlayStation Nation because guess what? Hi-Fi Rush released yesterday. And Sea of Thieves is only a matter of time before that releases.
Shadows, my friend.
Yeah,
Shadows.
yeah, indeed. But listen, Pixelbit G, welcome back, brother. It's nice to have you here. You are obviously a tech bro, if you will. You know, you hang out with the John Wolfs of the world, the Kayasantes of the world. We're going to get into this PlayStation 5 Pro. And like I was saying before you got here, I really think that Microsoft kind of dodged a bullet, not going mid-gen refresh and going all in on next gen. How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. Pleasure to be back on your show, Playboy. Did my voice just cut out?
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, yeah. So pleasure to be back on the show. Yeah, I mean, I think when Microsoft said that the X was its mid-gen, they wasn't lying. Based on these specs, they might have been onto something. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into it. We have over here Ultron Quake, who's been a channel member for 6 months. Ultron, thank you so much for the generosity and the crazy good support. He says, just watched a video showing the first human with Neuralink, a quadriplegic man playing chess entirely with his mind. The future is going to be great. That is wild, dude. Listen, everybody should be able to play games, and the fact that technology exists, phenomenal. I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Pretty big deal. So listen, folks, look, let's Pixelbit G and Crispy Bomb, as we wait for Kay Asante to get in, because obviously he's doing something with the family. He should be here in about maybe 15 or 20 minutes. I kind of want to talk about the bad news for PlayStation and even worse news for Bungie. Now, again, folks, I know there's some people that are like, "Oh, you're always talking bad news about PlayStation." Well, we talk bad news about Xbox when there's bad news. We don't shy away from it, folks. This is a multi-plat show, and when I hate to say this, and I think everyone could back me up on this. When Xbox shits the bed, we give them the rhetoric, as we should. But right now, Sony is kind of in a bit of a pickle in a lot of areas. And one, Pixelbit G, is the PlayStation VR 2.0. They've stopped all production on this. This obviously comes on the heels of them falling short from their goals of selling a certain amount of PlayStation 5s, right? Mm-hmm. They took a $10 billion hit to their stock price about 3 weeks ago. They're not going to sell as many PlayStation 5s as they expected. That probably has a lot to do with the fact that there are no first-party games releasing this year that are exclusive to the box, like, for instance, a new Uncharted or a new God of War or Horizon or whatever else. I mean, there is, of course, MLB The Show. That is a multi-plat. I don't think that really counts when you're talking about console exclusives, which is why they went heavy on third-party exclusives like Rise of the Ronin. Is a perfect example of that.
That's
right.
That is
correct. I mean, listen, there's supposedly a PlayStation 5 Pro coming out, and again, we're going to get into the PlayStation 5 Pro versus the current Xbox Series X. I know that there are a lot of people that are clamoring for some of the promises, like machine learning, that were supposed to already be implemented on the Series X. They have not been implemented yet. Digital Foundry did a PlayStation podcast where they were kind of making fun that Sony is going to do it first with the PS5 Pro based on the specs. And again, if that happens, then that's shame on Microsoft for not delivering. But we'll see about that.
No, I will counter that.
Okay, please jump right in. Counter that. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, they, Digital Foundry try to pretend that those specs are crazy, but the numbers of the actual specs when compared against the Series X is really only like 4 teraflops more.
Yes.
The CPU is 0.5 faster. The memory bus for their memory bus is like 5. I think it was like 576, which puts it at just 16 gigahertz faster than the Series X. So this is the most mid-gen upgrade I've ever seen. So they I don't know, why they're trying to pretend it's more than what it is, right? That PSSR technology is what's going to carry it if it's any good.
Right.
But if AMD can barely get it right, and so far only Intel and NVIDIA really have great upscaling technology, do I want to believe that a Sony's technology is going to be that much better when we've seen their current upscaling technology is what's it the one that they use, Insomniac's engine, right? The checkerboard rendering
Yes.
that they use,
Yes.
right? We've
Yep.
seen that checkerboard rendering fall apart in Horizon Forbidden West, right? It came out, was all staticky and crazy looking, right? When they try to push it too far. And
Right.
then inside of Spider-Man, if you look at Spider-Man image quality is, the image quality is good, but if you look at the details of the characters, it's only Spider-Man himself, the main characters, that have great detail. The rest of
Yes,
the world,
like if you him
isn't
and
great
Miles look
detail.
unbelievable. Like
Right.
when they're in a scene, they look phenomenal. Like they look like you could literally, like an action figure, reach in and pull them out.
Yep.
It's everything around them that does
That
not
it's
look.
suspect, right?
Yeah.
So is that the impact of how good their technology is? I don't know, right? But I think pretending that this is some major leap and Microsoft needs to counter it, there's no need to counter it, because this is like I think DF even admitted, this box will grant you 30 on the next Red Dead, more than likely, unless they do something like drop it. I'm not even sure if dropping it down is going to help, because that Rockstar's engine is more than graphics, right? It's about delivering a world, a real life active world to people, right? With a lot of CPU based, they tend to be CPU, what's the word?
Heavy.
Yeah, heavy, but it's CPU bound, right? The phrase is
Okay.
called CPU bound, right? So their engine is CPU bound, and if your CPU is only 0.5 greater than the current CPU, it is what it is. And this is a small reminder to folks, the reason why you're seeing the Series S hold its weight against the PlayStation 5, and I forgot what thing I saw today where it was falling apart. It's falling apart.
Dragon's Dogma, I believe.
It can't even maintain 40s. It's below the Series S, and because the Series S CPU is actually faster. So, cast that reality check. We'll see if it's as good as expected. But the way I look at it is, and I've been saying it, there's no reason for Microsoft to do an upgrade, because if you want a better Xbox experience, you could do it on PC right now.
You could. You absolutely could. And obviously, look, for instance, like for me, I'm never going to have a PC. I'm never going to have a 4090. Can I afford it? Sure, I can afford it. I don't want it. I'm a console guy. I've always been a console guy. But getting back to what you were saying, and we're going to bring Crispy in here in a second. This box, whatever it's going to be, people are like, oh, they're going to sell it for $4.99 and take a loss. Folks,
No, they're not. This is Sony.
Let me open up the curtains for you.
$70 game.
This is $70 games, $10 upgrades, a $40 raise in their service from 120 to 160 for no day and date games. This is SIE and PS. By the way, Hiroki Totoki is running the show. This isn't Jim Ryan, right? This isn't
Chief
Herman.
Financial Officer.
So Jim Ryan was a penny pincher, right? This guy is the man that hires the penny pinchers, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Here's one thing I think the Sony fans should put the teeth on a little bit, right? The current PlayStation is $550 now. Or did they drop it down back to $499?
So depending on where you go, I went over the pricing yesterday. I went through I think 6 or 7 of the major retail the outlets, like the Walmarts, the PC Richards, the GameStop.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
There is I believe the Spider-Man edition, Spider-Man 2 edition is $449. Now it's a little higher in some other place, like PC Richard was $499. I think Walmart had it for $4.49 as well. I think GameStop had a $5.99 bundle.
Mhm.
I mean a $4.99 bundle. So it's like a $50 difference.
Okay, so let's say that holiday season comes this year and it's still a $4.99 console. They have no reason to drop the price of that console, right? Because they know the lemmings will buy it, so they have no reason to drop it.
Right.
I see this console coming in at like $5.99, $600 square. Why not? They know that this console is not going to sell to anybody but the hardcore anyway, because that's what the mid gens do. They don't sell well. So I expected this I expected to come in at about $600. But here's a beautiful thing though. Guess how much those upgrades are going to cost Playboys, because they're not going to be free.
Right.
It's highly unlikely that Sony's going to give you upgrades that utilize the extra graphics of this or whatever. They're not going to give it to you for free because they didn't give it to you for the Pro.
Right.
They didn't give it to you for the Pro. They didn't give it to you for the PS5.
Right.
So pony up that $10 extra.
It's going to be $10 more.
A little bit more thing. And here's the best part: they're upscaling technology, PSSR, but I'm going to call it Pisser for now until I see it. Pisser Tech, Pisser Tech is going to basically is an ad hoc technology. So if anybody's had used the I guess the Steam Deck has it and the ROG Ally has it, right? They have built-in upscaling technology on those units, and that is system-wide technology. So in this case, it's not system-wide. It's in a functionality that's in the system, but it has to be coded on an ad hoc basis. That means you got to go back to each game and make modifications to use this upscaler.
Yes.
So doubtful that a lot of your third parties are going to do it off the gate unless they're forced to. And then you bet your butt that when they do it for Spider-Man or whatever, that they're going to charge you upgrade fee.
Yeah.
So sounds like
it's
big loser to me, but it is what it is.
I mean, look, there are enthusiasts, right? We in all platforms, right? There are Nintendo enthusiasts that buy all the games, right?
Sure.
There are Xbox enthusiasts. I happen to be one of them. What I won't be doing this for is buying a PlayStation 5 Pro, not because I don't think it's worth it, not because I don't have the money. Well, ultimately it's not going to be worth it, but again, enthusiasts, we go the extra mile, right? We don't mind spending the money because we want the newest and the fastest. And obviously this is going to be coming out during the holiday. For me, I'm not buying it because I don't turn on my PlayStation 5 enough to justify trading this in and buying a new one. I'm not going to get pennies on the dollar for my PlayStation 5 that works perfectly fine.
But here's the thing. I mean, with GameStop pretty much falling apart, who are you trading it to?
That is, what's funny?
What's the current trading? Like, what does the trading world look like right now? I don't know. Right? I don't trade games. I don't trade consoles. I just buy stuff new.
Right.
So, but I know the GameStops near me have all closed.
Well, here's a funny story.
I
think 2 weekends ago, my nephew Tyler, who stays over almost every other weekend, one of our things is that we go to GameStop, and there's one in Pelham, New York, that's been there for years, and it actually makes a lot of money. It's always filled with people. We went there one Sunday, gone, closed, sign gone. I'm like, wait a second, we were just here last weekend. T, what happened? I think, I don't know, but you're right. Where are you going to trade these things in? Because I'm certainly not Facebook selling this thing, so you can get jacked.
Well, and I mean, there's plenty of scalp versions of not scalp, but scalpers still have plenty of PS5s.
They sure do.
So, I don't know what the market looks like when you're trying to add a used PS5 to the resale market, right? So, I don't know. I don't see it. And then on top of that, what games are they going to have when this game releases?
We see that was going to be my next question, and I want to pose that question to Crispy because what we learned this year from Sony's financials, their last financial meeting, was that they are not going to have any first party, quote unquote AAA bangers until minimum of March of 2025. So this console is coming out this fall, supposedly, right? Now, Tom Henderson, who actually broke the story in one of his follow-up tweets when he was talking back and forth to the community, he actually kind of did like he didn't use a GIF. He basically said, not coming out with a new game to showcase the hardware. I don't know so much about that. I'm paraphrasing. That's what he said. And he's not wrong, Crispy. I mean, okay, yeah, God of War, how much better is it going to look? I don't know. I'm not a tech guy like that. Is Spider-Man 2 going to look even better than it does now? Who knows? But I remember, and I think Pixel Bit G, and you remember this, when the Xbox One X came out, it launched with no games. I think the only game that launched with it was Lucky's Tale, which is a great game, but not a game that you want to showcase your new up the ante console because it's not first party. And they got slammed for it, and rightfully so. You release a new piece of hardware, there's nothing to take advantage of it. I just think it's dumb. Well, they did that. Well, Sony is doing that now. I don't know so much about releasing new hardware this fall after posting losses on your current PlayStation 5s. Okay. You also have PSVR 2.0 production stop because your warehouses are overfilled with them. You can't get rid of them. They're still $600. Do you release a Pro at the end of the year with no game?
I mean, we got to realize that this sucks to even say, because I grew up it was Sega, it was Nintendo, it was PlayStation. They're all melded together. Xbox came in later in life. Okay? Xbox was hey, we dropped, the Ashes trailer for Gears of War. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? You have to realize that I already knew Microsoft had made games before. I played on PC as well. So I already knew that they made games or published games before. So I was like, well, Sony's new to this. And keep in mind, I had a Walkman in my pocket the whole time. And I said, oh, I'm walking down the street. You know why pockets were bigger in the old school days? Because we had to have a Walkman in our pocket. And you look at it and you say, oh, I laugh at you old people. And I say, wait, okay. Because we're really coming down to VR for a second, real quick. Because, I mean, that's where we started at. So you look at VR. But you look at what Microsoft did with AR. Not VR, AR. And you go and look at that. Go look at the Minecraft demo in AR. And then you look at yourself and you say, that's super simplistic. But what is involved with the Apple version and then also what the MetaQuest 3 is doing?
I use it every day, dude. It's phenomenal.
Why did Microsoft say, you know what? We don't want to develop the hardware. We'll help you on the back end on the software. Why would they do that? Because they're a software company. Okay? So then you look at Game Pass. I'm going to tell you right now, I have not seen single hate from what's coming out this month in Game Pass.
Oh, dude, it's
insane. Yeah. Evil West, Diablo 4. You could just and you know what? You want to call it second party, you want to call it, they don't care.
Right.
They don't care. It is good content and they think it's going to be really good content.
Yeah.
And they want to sell. It's kind of like Netflix. I'm gonna be honest with you. I grew up hating Netflix and then loving them. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Redbox, same deal. All right. I grew up Blockbuster age, my friends. Okay, Blockbuster was the end all be all. And then I slowly changed my mentality and said, man, this is right in my hands and I don't have to pay a freaking dime. What are you talking about? So then you have PlayStation, okay? I mean, let's be honest, graphical fidelity, everything else. What's the problem? What do we always give Xbox shit for? Excuse my language.
Yeah, no
But
first party bangers. Yeah.
No first party. They have a peripheral that is as much as the console itself.
Yep.
And you're going to think that if you have nothing to offer us, we're going to go and purchase it? In my eyes, as a multiplayer gamer, PlayStation has nothing to offer me. What, Helldivers 2 after all these damn years? What are we talking about here? Are we talking about something that's spectacular? What? I can go play Fortnite on freaking my Xbox. And you know what? I can go play it on a PC too. And I can have the same game save go over. I mean, what are we talking about? It's ridiculous. They looked at, so let's think about it. As far as actual VR, AR, they looked at Meta and said, you know what? Let's go all in. Remember the partnership?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody forgets that. They have a partnership. All of a sudden, MetaQuest 3 looks like it has AR elements. Where's that come from? They ain't going to tell you. Came from Microsoft. Why? Because they don't want to put all of that money into the hardware involved to make that a thing. Instead, they say, "Oh, you could play Game Pass games that are in first person."
Yep.
On your Meta Quest 3, and in Game Pass, all you gotta do is subscribe. Is that a problem? I don't think so. You pay $15 a month over 70. We have this argument all the damn time. Okay, I'm sorry. I grew up when I could rent a game for $5. Play it for 3 days and choose to continue to rent it again. I grew up in that time. All right. Maybe y'all didn't. That's a you problem. It's not me. Okay. I see what Game Pass is and how ridiculous the amount of games that I see that I'm actually interested in. And then I can go and say, like, man, Dragon's Dogma 2 looks really good. Why not buy it? Why can't I do that? I haven't bought a game in years. I'm dead serious. I had people trashing me for not buying Gears 5. I did that. And I have not bought Gears 5. It's in my Game Pass, bro. Like, let's be honest here. Like, you have to realize that Sony has not done anything to help its PSVR 2 realm.
Well, no, they closed a studio that actually made VR games. Listen, let me just pause you right there for a hot second. Asante, welcome to the program, dude. How you feeling?
Good evening. I am sorry I'm late. Had to do some family things, but I'm here. I was listening in. What's going on, everybody?
Well, it's good to have you here. So, Crispy Bomb, you're making some phenomenal points. I do want to pause it for a second and come back to it because you are absolutely right. Sony is doing things a little un-Sony-like recently, and obviously it's been a tough year for them. It's been actually a tough 2 years because, again, if you look back to 2023, outside of some of the third-party games that they had marketed that were exclusive. All they have Spider-Man 2.
I mean, let's be honest, Boom. They bring out content, correct? I mean, I don't take anything away from what they've done, okay? But what they've done is old news. What about new news? I don't see nothing.
I mean, we're gonna find out. But listen, Asante, Pixelbit G, and of course Crispy and I have been talking about the pros and cons of the PlayStation 5 Pro. We think that, and we said in the opening, it was smart business for Microsoft not to do that. When you look at the numbers. Now, granted, I know that everyone's, like high on the teraflops, 33 teraflops. It's amazing. It's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Same CPU. So it's going to be Bottleneck City.
That
And I'm not a
33
tech
is
guy.
fake news, BD. It's not the math don't math.
The math don't math.
It's an exaggerated calculation, but
Closer
yes,
to
we're not going to
16,
be in the
but
weeds. We're not going to be in the weeds. That's fine. Yes, continue.
I want to get your hot take on it. Do you feel okay? Because this is speculation, folks. Right? We're playing with numbers here. We're playing with years. We don't really know. Let's just say this: the PlayStation 5 Pro is expected to release this year. Holiday is what is the rumor, right?
Yeah,
it's going to be a minimum $600 machine. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be $499. I saw some knuckleheads like, oh, $399. They're going to take a loss. They can't afford to take any losses, folks. This thing is going to be a $600 device, and that's what it's going to be. That's it. Is it going to be an $800 device? No. $700? I don't think so. I think the sweet spot for this device for Sony is $599. Now, okay, if we're playing with dates, holiday 2024, here's the Pro. Great. Holiday 2025, potentially, but I'm more banking on first quarter of 26 for Microsoft's next hardware, which is rumored like this to be a hybrid handheld and a monster box. What that does is they're moving to next generation. They are jumping Sony. Now, if Sony puts out a Pro in 24, it's unlikely that they're going to try and make a console for 26, 27 potentially, maybe even 28. So this is a PS3, Xbox 360 situation where now we're looking at Sony with a little bit of a crooked eye because they're trying to jump Microsoft with a pinch of power more. And of course, in this power conversation, there are a lot of circles running with this. They're going to run GTA at 60 frames. Folks, I'm here to tell you that is not, you may not get 60 frames initially when it launches on PC whenever. I don't think that is going to happen. It's going to run 30.
Now I'll push back on that one. But
we getting them 60 frames on PC. Playboy,
60?
slow down.
We're getting 100 something, but okay.
Bro, slow down.
From day one. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but see. So let me break it down for you. Pixel, let me deal with this for you. On PC, you can't lock me out. On PC, you give me what I get, and my hardware determines how much it runs.
Okay,
if I don't get 60, it's because I can't make 60 happen, right? On console, however, and I think I'll take it from here, right? Why I agree with you that it's a good move that Microsoft not go for the mid-gen refresh and instead set that standard and go for the next gen right away, right?
Right.
This is exactly the same scenario with the OG Xbox One and the Xbox Series, Xbox One X, right? So the One X came out, had more power than the Xbox One, right?
Right.
Not miles and leaps and crazy bounds, but it had a good substantive like foothold because they made that to kind of take the power crown back, right? So they had to set a benchmark. Hey, this is really good, right? Problem is, unlike in the console, in the PC space, where my hardware directly determines my capabilities, on console, that's true too after the developers have had their way with it, right?
Okay.
After they've gone back in, cracked it open, reprofiled it, requalified it, put it back together, and ship it to you, right? Which is the form of patches, right? Oh, you get a new patch, and now all of a sudden, you're able to do more. Problem is, on a console, every developer must do that. And actually, reading, shout out to Tom Henderson, reading that the super resolution that Sony's coming up with that potentially could really help them in that regard. That's also requires developer intervention in order for you to use it. This is not a what do you call it, an FPS boost where Sony just does it and it works. No, you have to go in. Oh yeah, you did that already. Okay, it's ad hoc. It's ad hoc. Exactly. So the reason why, I've heard a lot of back and forth about, should Microsoft, this idea of what it is.
Should they respond? Is what you're saying?
Should they respond? Yeah. Even if we take them at their word, right? And the man Pixels lays it flat every time, so I'm not even going to go there. Even if we take them at their word that the 33 T-flops are exactly what we think they are. Oh, this is 30 whatever a series category. That would even be more detrimental to whoever purchases this hardware, because there is no world where they'll go, okay, GTA, here's the new benchmark. Here's the PS4 Pro code, and here's the PS5 Pro code, and here's the PS5 code. No. Instead, you make one code base, and then you add bells and whistles where you can, right? Now, in the world we live in, yeah, people want the speeds and feeds. People want the ray tracing. People want it to look well and beautiful and shiny, and you'll get that, no doubt. You'll get that. But specifically in the console space, if you don't split the code base and go off and go do something that's specific for that box, you will never get to its full fruition, right? Don't take my word for it. Listen to Digital Foundry, right? What was the first thing they said? Well, the stuff that doesn't scale, physics, AI complexity, you can't scale that. So when you're making one code base, right, and you know that one can do it and the other one can't, what do? You take it out because the other one can't, right? So you'll add the ray tracing here, you'll add the bells and whistles there, but that real next gen stuff gets, quote unquote, and I love when you say this, everyone gets triggered, gets held back because only the big brother can do it. The little brother can't, right? Gotcha. And there are no two different code bases to go off and go, okay, well, this one's going to do advanced physics and the worlds are going to be destructible and all this stuff. Whereas the PS5 OG can't do that. So yeah, only one can, one can't. No, if you have two code bases, then you can make those determinations. But it's a console world. You will never have two code bases. That does not make business sense.
But technically, your point is true in the PC space as well, right?
As well.
If you buy the top end spec, what you're seeing is brute force, right? You're
exactly
seeing that
yes,
because you have so much overhead that the machine
that you can make it
more.
That's right.
But they're not coding it to do more for you.
Speaking. That's right.
Right.
The difference is though, on the console, on the PC side, you can do more because it's all within your agency and it's all within your power. And on the console side, they literally have to do it for you, or all of that power goes to waste, right? So this is where I am happy with where PlayStation is going, right? I won't most likely buy one unless they show me a reason to.
Right.
I'll put that out there. But I will say I am excited for what PlayStation potentially will bring about. Why? Because when they all develop in a smart way, then they all develop in a smart way. The reason why my 4090 and all these 30 cards have never seen the fruition to its fullest capability, a lot of these tools have been on PC forever, but no one ever uses them because consoles don't support it. And you're not going to make two separate code bases. You're going to build one, and then you're going to start porting left and right, right? So in a world where everyone uses these smart developmental tools, you will see them across the board, both on PC and on console.
Gotcha.
Right.
So let me ask you a question though, because I'm not a PC guy, folks. So
sure.
Is GTA 6 not releasing on PC at the same time as console because they're going to release it at 60 frames when it does release?
Well, historically, they never release it on console and PC at the same time. Now, some will say the business reason is, hey, why do that when you get one?
Gotcha.
Right? You can get double dippers. Secondly, they can also focus all their development time on the one console code base, and then later on they build the PC, right? But the reason why is, like, the worst thing you'll get on PC is it runs like dog meat. Like you'll have it run terribly. Doesn't mean you can't go into the background and update some DLLs and make it run the way you want it to run. Remember back in the day when Gotham Knights was running like dog crap on everything?
Yes.
On PC, I was getting 144 frames.
Okay.
Because I could do that.
Just real quick, let me just chop in just this one second.
Please.
Like, so your point about it releasing on PC at 60 is technically not how it works. It'll release on PC unlocked, right?
Oh,
yes.
unlocked.
And then what happens?
It always does. Yes.
If you look at
That's exactly what happened with Dragon's Dogma. Apparently, it's unlocked on PC, locked
That's
to
right.
30
Yeah,
frames.
yeah,
on-
and
Exactly.
it's generally
Yes.
always unlocked on
Yes.
PC unless the developers lost their
Unless the
damn mind,
developer
right?
locks it, like
So-
Square lost
Right,
their minds,
right, and
they
then they get
locked
the
it, and then
smoke,
somebody
right?
goes in the
Yeah,
DLL
then they get
and
the
then
smoke, right? We
unlocks
gotta
it.
fix that. We can't have that. So here's
That's
the
right.
thing. Just in a basically numerical comparison.
Mhm.
The PS5 Pro CPU is going to be at best 3.85 gigahertz. Right. That's
At
the
best.
That's the
Yes.
best. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's only a few.
My-
That's a few numbers different than the Series X
0.5.
currently.
0.5.
Yes.
Point
Then
0.5
currently
higher
there's-
than the current,
yeah.
right?
The
So-
current Series X, yeah.
Now compare that to what I have, which is like an i9 12900K CPU,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
That
Okay.
P-
The man
that
is
CPU
pushing some
Come
weight.
on, you know I'm playing that in my dude. So that PC at its base is 3.9 gigahertz at
Mhm.
base. It
Mhm.
tops out at 5.2.
Wow.
Yep.
So what I say
Yep.
about
per
overhead
core. Yeah.
per core, right? And this is
Yes.
like a 12,
and it's got like 32
like a-
cores,
yeah, it's like
logical
a 32
and
core.
yeah.
It's absolutely
Yes.
ridiculous, right? Come on, you know I'm not
Yes.
playing. So what I mean by brute force and overhead,
Mhm.
this
Yes.
PC has so much overhead that if you give it that same code game
Mhm.
technically and run it
Yeah.
here and just say unlock, it'll just push up because it has room to
Because
do
it can.
and
Yes,
it's almost
yes.
twice as
Gotcha.
fast as your
Yes.
CPU, right? And then that's
Now,
before I
now,
count in
one thing
all my
though,
memory and everything else.
Pixel.
Yeah, so go ahead.
One thing, Pixel. Some developers on the console side do a great job, and they'll give you the, hey, here's your locked, here's your 30, here's your 60, and then they'll give you an unlocked frame rate mode.
Yep.
Right. The developers that do that we love them. They are brilliant because that means your game will continue to get benefits way
Even on
past
console.
the generation.
Even on
Right?
console, right?
Even on console, because they then unlock the profile knowing that, maybe it's not exactly smooth this time around, but once they have the mid-gen or once they have next gen, now you can tap into those resources and developers don't have to go back in and unlock it to reprofile it for you.
And
So
to Kay's
anytime,
point, the company
Go ahead.
that was really good at doing that last gen was
Mhm.
Microsoft. So
yes,
the reason why the X1 was able to get all those games boosted out the gate is because
Mhm.
all the games on Xbox were unlocked,
yeah,
technically.
exactly.
So
yeah,
the minute they fed it something with more power, boom,
yeah.
it jumped up. So,
Exactly. So
Right.
so let me be clear here, right? It's not to throw shade at Sony or to throw shade at console players. Honestly, at the end of the day, what excites me about the PS5 Pro coming out is the way they develop will change to match the new tools and smart AI that they're bringing, the smart tools that they're bringing to the development cycle. When they do that, right, then there's more impetus for others to use it, right? You hear a lot of these whiz-bang interesting features that you've heard about it and people are super excited about it. DirectML, machine learning tools have been in the Xbox Series console since day one. Has anyone used it? No,
Yeah, see, that's
because
what I
they are
actually
not
said
the
in
biggest
the
pool,
openings. Yes.
right?
Yep.
They
Oh,
are
wait,
not
wait,
the
you
biggest
telling me
pool,
that there's some AI stuff in the old Xbox?
right?
knew?
It's even been in the Series S for a long time.
Actually,
because they are not
even
the biggest
technically was
pool.
in the original Xbox,
The Xbox
X
One
had it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
technically, yeah.
But as long as the developers do not use it, and let me be clear, this is smoke in Microsoft's eye, right? It's not just because you put it in there doesn't mean they'll use it, right? You have to entice them to use it. You have to show them why it's worth using it. And even Microsoft themselves, for one reason or another, has not used it time or two. So people just kind of go about what they know and they keep it moving. But when the biggest pool mandates that, hey, from now on, not only do you have to make games that make you blow on a controller, you must now also use these smart features. Now those smart features are in play. A lot of people are using them. They're not exactly one for one to all the others, but if you're developing, let's say, primitive shaders, maybe you'll do mesh shaders for that can support it, a la Alan Wake 2, right?
Wake, yeah.
If they didn't do primitive shaders, they wouldn't do any shaders at all, and they would just run it Gen Pop, which is general resources. And what happens then? The Series S will fail because that's all smart tools. It has barely any overhead, right? And if you do it, if you develop it first for PlayStation and then port it to Xbox, then the Xbox version will never look as good as the PlayStation's because they developed for it with it in mind and then port it over. So all the various tools that make the Xbox shine get looked over, right? And so happens in PC. Now, we don't necessarily worry about that because most PC builders will build PCs with overhead, as Pixel's pointing out. So we'll brute force our way into making it work. But in a world where everyone is developing in a smart way and using these things, right? Everyone benefits, including the PC people, right? So the next time PlayStation ports their cool new game over, guess what? It might use more of those features that you have come to expect from the consoles. So it lifts all boats. That's the cool part. But let's not get it twisted. And I know y'all have already laid it flat, so I'll just leave it there. Let's not get it twisted. They are selling you a hilarious bill of goods if you think you're getting like a super PC for the price. I don't know about that.
So,
and
so
Boom,
basically you're saying it's not a 4090 you're getting in the box.
If you were getting a 4090 in the box and you didn't pay close to 4K for your PC, man, tell me where you bought it because I gotta go get one too. That's amazing. Right?
I'll buy one.
I will challenge you. I'll challenge you on one thing though, Boom.
Yes.
One thing, right? I think I heard you. You were talking about how right now the mid-gen refresh is going to be it's going to be a little lackluster. I agree with you on that, right? I completely agree with you on that. But my challenge, the way I challenge you a little bit is keep an eye out, because when this stuff starts happening, I bet you will see the Series X continue to shine like brightly.
You know why?
Because now they're using the similar tools.
Yep, you're
exactly.
coding ahead of the console now, so now you can actually use the overhead on that console. Good point.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
well,
so it's an interesting time. You know,
I have a thought and a theory, but I do want to welcome in 768 people. That's freaking awesome. Welcome everyone. Yes, please, for the love of Joe, hit the like button. And if you are finding the channel for the first time, I see a lot of new names here. Please consider subscribing because, well, YouTube isn't helping me. That is for sure with their algorithm. It's so wacky, YouTube, right now. I'm losing more subs than I'm getting. It's the craziest freaking thing, but I'm not the only one. So at least they're not singling me out. Unfortunately, this seems to be a widespread problem with creators of all sizes, for that matter. So, of course, you know, if I don't ask, and I was taught that from Randolph Thor, who used to yell at me every time I boom, you're not asking enough. So now it's entrained into my brain. Let me catch up on some super chats because I have a theory that's going to be very interesting starting in May, and I'm going to tell you what that is. Son of Skyrim, who's been a channel member for 7 months. Thank you so much for the support, brother. He says they haven't made a game that even pushes the PlayStation 5. They don't have many games coming out at all. What purpose does the PlayStation 5 Pro serve? Nothing right now. I would imagine. I mean, you'd like
no. So I would say this: besides from getting in your pocket,
yes, of course.
It seems like it may be designed as a prelude to how they move forward with the PS6.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's still they're still taking some.
It's a shadow PS6. Absolutely.
They're still taking some half steps there because they still need to support the PS5 code base, right? It needs to behave certain ways, so the similar way that the PS4 and PS4 Pro kind of had to work the same way. Like there's certain, I forgot what integers there was, like the half float compute on that was set up in such a way that it has to be exactly in the same specification as the older console. And I think that's part of what you're seeing there.
If you look at it, that's why the CPU that we see on the Pro has the standard version of clock speed exactly like the PS5, and then it's got a mode for a little higher. Because if you want to be exactly like the PS5, because not everybody's going to develop for PS5 Pro, then it'll literally be the same thing. But if you choose to use the Pro features, then you can clock a little higher. It's kind of like a half step into next gen, you know.
They don't build games day and date into PC. And this is where I have a problem. You have to look at what Microsoft has done through its entire lifespan. They are a PC company.
Yeah.
Okay. They have established. Everybody was all wild about Windows and Microsoft Studios instead of Xbox Game Studios. Oh, it was Microsoft Studios before. That's some of us called out. And we said, what are you talking about? Sony does not build games for PC until they need to. There is a difference. Okay. I'm sorry. Microsoft been doing this for a long time, people. If you
But
don't
you know what,
want to
Crispy,
see
though?
it, that's on
Crispy?
you, bro.
Crispy, I will tell you that's going to change, though. You know why I'm thinking that will change? Because they heard a lot of ching from Helldivers too.
Yeah, they sure did.
You know,
They actually
I
made a lot
bet
of money.
the times are changing with that in that world. You know,
But that developer, Arrowhead, developed the game for both. There's a difference. Okay. We've been doing this for a while on Xbox then. People hated it. Trust me. Remember when people got called out by Xbox P3, Mr. Phil Spencer himself. Okay. And we're back at it again. You bring out certain games to a certain platform. Hey, you're going to get hate. No shit. We all know this. We've seen it. Okay. It is what it is. Like at the end of the day, there's one company that's a software company that makes incredible things. Like think about flight sim. People are trained how to fly a plane on flight sim. Think about that.
Yeah, no.
I don't discredit what they've done, but they've always done it, and they continue to do it. And the other company is the cream of the crop of console market, but has no leg to stand on PC until Helldivers. Oh, big freaking whoop!
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's definitely a win for multiplayer gamers on PlayStation who didn't have a lot there, especially from first party. But listen, I have a thought and a theory regarding both consoles, current Xbox Series X, what they have releasing versus what Sony has releasing, and what more specifically Xbox has on tap. Tempest Sun, who's been he's been a channel member, ex-member of course, Primetime Gaming. Tempest Sun, welcome back, brother. He helped us launch this program years ago. Unfortunately, real life had to step in, so he had to step away, but he's been supporting the channel for 53 months. Holy crap, dude. That's crazy generous. Thank you, brother. We miss you. He says in all caps, Dragon's Dogma 2 tomorrow night. Yeah, I bought it. I caved. I know I'm going to like it. I enjoyed the first one. I didn't love it because I played it after it was like years old, but I definitely going to get down with it. And I cannot wait. Highlander 001, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $10 super chat. Thank you for the generosity, Highlander. Great to see you here as always. He says, hey, Boom and Panel. Microsoft is helping an AI program with General Dynamics, turning older F-16s into armed autonomous drones, making Microsoft $15 billion. There are 6 movies saying this bad. Wow. That's just some crazy shit right there. Wow. Well, that's technology. Again, Skynet is on the way. I'm telling you right now, folks. Hollywood Rules drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Sony has no game. Shout out to my boy Pixel #Sega. So
I appreciate you, man, always.
I mean, who doesn't love Sega? I mean, come on, Sega's the OG, right? I mean, who doesn't like Sega? Dreamcast still number one, still the best system ever in the history of systems. Sorry.
PC Engine says, yeah, okay.
I mean, I had PC. I imported it from Japan. I Dracula X. Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Oh my god!
Everybody thinks that game started on PlayStation.
Yes, it actually called Rondo of Blood.
That's right.
If the original one before it was, so I don't think a lot of people even know what the hell we're talking about. But
welcome to the Gaming Gray Beards podcast.
That's right. There you go. There you go. So, gentlemen, this is not being slanderous. This is just throwing this out there. A couple days ago, Ninja Theory announced that there was going to be a photo mode in Hellblade 2, and they released 4 screenshots. And those screenshots were ridiculous. And those are in-engine. Those are the game. We've seen the game running. It's mouth-watering delicious. That is releasing on an Xbox Series X this May. That's just tip of the spear from what is coming out for the remainder of the year. You still have Indiana Jones. That looks amazing. We still have Avowed. You still have Flight Sim. You still have Towerborn. There is a lot releasing this year for the series consoles. But specifically looking at the graphics, the hashtag a la Cognito of the Iron Lords just won, right? Well, here it is. May is around the corner. 2 months away, folks. We are getting Hellblade 2. That is showing off on old hardware that released in 2020 versus the potential of a PlayStation 5 Pro releasing with no first-party game to challenge that. This is, again, when you think about it, it almost seems like Sony is in a bit of a disadvantage, especially when it comes to the games, and one that is going to be a real looker. What are your thoughts on that, Kay?
I was so stunned to see what I saw, and I had to ask and make sure, because like I was asking around, because that game tends to have like, it has real time cutscenes and it also has like animated cutscenes and so I'm always the context dude. I'm always the guy that tells you to not necessarily believe the hype, temper the expectations.
Are they taking pictures of tailpipe? Is what
that's
you're
right.
saying.
Are they taking pictures of FMVs? But I have been assured that they are not taking pictures of FMVs, and this is actually in-game animated, created footage rather than a photo or a video that's being played at that time. And that is freaking mind-blowing, right? Because you said, oh, this is coming out on the Series X. Of course it's coming out on the Series X. What blows my mind is this is coming out on the Series S.
Yes.
It sure is.
Yep.
Like, wow.
You mean the potato?
It looks, it looks insane. Now, anybody that's heard my program and heard me talking, I always say, just because you have the best hammer doesn't mean you make that best house, right? Just because you lace up them sneaks doesn't mean you dunking over Jordan. It's about the skills of the people who have those tools in their hands, right? I will always say that Naughty Dog are kings of the game because they turned, they turned out The Last of Us 2, whether you like the story or not, graphically, they turned out The Last of Us 2 on what is literally a potato, right? And it still looks insane to this very, very day, right? So I am thrilled to see what they do. I want them to release this thing and then, like, most people will say, oh yeah, let them stay small. I want to see them iterate quickly. I want to see more from them because every time they hit something, the benchmark is high. And this stuff blew me away. It looks insanely good.
The veins in her eyes were ridiculous, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
and we've seen this before, right? If you've watched the Unreal presentations they've done with Epic and all of this, they literally showed you like a demo from Ninja Theory using a phone and animating, and you see how their technology has evolved and all this. Like, it's always been great looking. It's always been an interesting thing to see. And oh my God, look how the tech is progressing. I just want to play the game at this point. I want to see this thing in action.
You know what's the bug thing though? It feels like we see these things and then we kind of forget, right? So when this thing was first shown, certain outlets, GovDF, was like, there's no way that's running on a console. Right?
Yep. Oh yeah. To
only be disproven, right? And then that game that Hideo Kojima is working on. Right?
The
horror game, right?
Yeah, the horror game, the episodic point.
Facial animations that he was showing, that was video game graphics, people. That was graphics. That was not real actors, right? So Unreal's engine is capable of doing a lot. It's just surprising that you see like that much on a console, right? So it's just impressive, right? But these guys are really good. Like they're I'm starting to wonder if they may be top 3 rung when it comes to dealing with UE5, like UE, right?
And honestly,
they're
Pixel
up there.
Pixel. This is why I was so excited in the other topic about the PS5 going to a smarter development environment. Can you imagine like developers at the top of their craft like this, and their floor is like a 40 series card? Like that's their floor. Imagine what you would see from that. The reason why we never see that is because there's always the lower tier in the mix that they have to adhere to. Imagine everyone rises to that level. Like the closest we get in console in PCs is what? Star Citizen, right? That's the closest we get to somebody going, you know what? No other hardware matters.
I
The
don't
top
care.
dog.
Yep,
This
top
is all
dog,
we're
yeah.
doing. We never get that, right? So the more the consoles rise, so I know some people out there going, oh, PCMR, oh, the PC dudes hate. I want the console people to rise, because when they do, it lifts all boats. When they get great games that hit new benchmarks, that means we're getting great games that hit new benchmarks. And now more of my hardware gets used.
Yeah. No,
Good
I
point.
mean,
know?
listen. The thing that's interesting is that Hellblade is, of course, releasing on PC as well, day and date.
Yes.
So obviously,
yes.
if you have a monster
Cannot
machine,
wait to see that in super ultra wide.
there you
Oh
go.
boy.
Yeah. People, again, this is gonna be one of those games that you want to buy a PC. Like, I still wouldn't buy a PC. It's just not my bag. I got one of the top of the line TVs. That's what I'm going to enjoy it on. Okay, so before I bring you back in, let me bring Crispy. I want to head to you and ask you about the us versus them this May. Obviously, we are not expecting the PlayStation 5 Pro to launch until holiday. At least that was a part of the leaked rumor that came the way of Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming. And obviously, Tom Warren backed him up of The Verge, and the numbers are the numbers. But they don't have a game. At least we know that they told us they don't have a game. Could they have something third party? Well, I suppose, yeah, I would imagine. But they don't have anything announced. We know that Hellblade is coming out in May on old hardware, because that's what it is. PlayStation, the Series X is considered old hardware versus the new hardware coming out this fall. What a game to showcase old hardware, though. What are your thoughts?
Old hardware or hardware that actually has been rendered and properly treated? Those are two different things. I guess us One X owners, which I still have my Scorpio behind me, by the way. I guess we take the W then, huh? Because we had no games. We had Gears. Let's not lie. Gears look freaking great on the One X. Okay? Gears 4 or 5. Don't matter which one. They look really good. Okay? But what do you got? Okay. Maybe Gears could have said remaster 2 years later. Could have done that. Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, Horizon Forbidden West. Oh, you just trashing us. No, I'm speaking the truth. Y'all gave me hate for loving what I was playing. Well, I'm gonna tell you something right now. And this is from my heart. When you see Gear 6 or the Ultimate Edition, you are going to lose your shit. You are going to lose it because there is one studio, and Epic has been very nice to Microsoft lately. You can look it in their documents. You can look at the style that even 1943 is looking like.
Yeah,
that's Gears-esque, my friends. You might realize that the coalition might be helping them, and maybe Epic is giving them. Oh, I was the one that said, "Hey, they might have UE5 assets already." Everybody, oh, you crazy? Oh, am I? Because trust me, they are the wizards. And that entire dev team, which is probably 500 strong right now, is looking at what Hellblade's about to do and be like, yeah, hold my beer. We got more, bro. Because that's the way they develop games in that engine. I'm not talking like other engines. They have developed. I saw somebody put out a tweet about freaking the actual original Ultimate Edition, which I feel like they're going to be stupid. They're not going to call it the Phoenix Collection. They're going to call it the Ultimate Edition or something. And they're going to have 2 and 3 in there, and they're going to release it on PC because that's what they want to do. They want to make money. And you're going to look at what has transpired and you're going to say, well, that's already been done. And that's the problem. That's where we're at right now. We're at a point where, like, you look at certain games and you say, okay, but I've seen that before. Now that's up to you. Like if you're an only PlayStation, you're an only Xbox, that's on you. Okay, I've played all games. I played games in arcade that look better than some of these games. I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, but at the end of the day, like, do I want to pay 25 cents every time I screw up? No, I want to go play it at home and chill out. Now, do I go and say I'm gonna purchase a PS5 Pro when I could possibly spend maybe $200-300 more and get a PC that I could play both consoles, plus probably Nintendo through emulators on?
Don't say that too loud. Those Nintendo lawyers are always lurking.
Well, I possibly. That's why I said possibly. By the way, like, yeah, because they're coming hard real quick. Like all of a sudden, out of nowhere.
Oh God, coming hard. What the H is this? Is rated PG-13.
They rock, bro. No.
I know. I love it. Yeah, so, listen. You know what? You're onto something, because obviously
like, think about it. Like at the end of the day, like we have heard nothing. Like I still see a huge following, and I don't go out and say on Twitter like Gears, but I always see so many people bringing up certain aspects of what they love about Gears, and people always forget that as far as graphical fidelity, that carried, especially the 1X. It carried it. And that's where I don't hate on people for wanting a PS5 Pro. I do not hate you for that. But the problem is you've already had these rehashes before this has come out. This is not the same thing. This is not, hey, PS5 Pro, here's a new Ghost of Tsushima. Here's a new Last of Us. Just basically renewed. But hey, we have a new console. And y'all gave us a lot of crap for wanting Gears to play at 120 FPS, which I played at on a console, by the way, on the 1X. Okay, it wasn't graphical fidelity, but it was 120 FPS. Okay,
Cecil Bell in the chat says, "Stop trying to get us to go to PC. We don't want it." I'm right there with you, Cecil. I'm not going PC.
I don't want to go to PC either, but I'm just saying one is developing for one and one is the other is completely like, hey, can we make money? One's already doing it. The other one is like lackluster and just like, oh, we can make money now. Let's do it. It's like throwing your hamburgers at the wall.
For the record, this PC dude is very happy that console people stay on console. I have consoles here. It's all about choice, baby. It's all about choice. I choose to play when my friends bleed.
I don't play Gears with you, so I don't have to trash you before you get the sniper because that's all you got. Okay, like that's the way I look at it.
Well, listen. Look, all I know is that we already got a glimpse of what Hellblade 2 is going to look like. Obviously, we finally got the gameplay trailer for Combat during the direct. I'm super stoked for it. It's very, like I said, the whole point of the conversation was it's very interesting that we have a new console or upgraded console coming out for PlayStation 5, and they don't have a showpiece game when, of course, the older console, meaning, of course, the Series X, is going to have what is going to be groundbreaking graphics, groundbreaking gameplay and visuals, and I'm here for it. But listen, folks, I do want to just catch up on some super chats over here. We got quite a few of them, and I do want to then move on to what's going on with Bungie, because everyone's been talking about it, and it looks like unless they hit with this DLC, I think Sony kind of set them up to lose, if you know what I mean. We'll get into what I mean by that in a second. We have Anonymous Boss drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, "Salute everyone. Ponies down bad. Xbox will probably launch a handheld very soon. Are you guys hyped for upcoming Fable and Persona 6? Salute all." Persona 6, not for me, because Persona games, it's just not my bag. But I'm so happy for everyone else on Xbox who are enjoying it, right? I tried it. I tried Persona 5, and after like the 6th or 7th train ride, I was like, yep, this is just not for me. I'm sorry. I don't understand it. It's fine. Not every game is for every gamer. But Fable next year. I mean, that would be dope if we get holiday next year. That game is gonna hit like a ton of bricks. We have the Liz22. Welcome back, and thank you so much for the very generous $5 super chat. And they say, still loving Helldivers, and I think it's scratching that third-person SOCOM-like shooter itch that has been missing. I love SOCOM. Hashtag bring back SOCOM. You know, I got to be honest with you. I've been calling for a new SOCOM for years, and that studio that that just closed, that was not owned by Sony but was working on a military shooter. I bet you that was a SOCOM type game. I really think it was, and we're never going to get that. We're not getting Twisted Metal. You're not getting Last of Us Online. You're not getting that dope ass Spider-Man online. Sony, man, I don't know what they're doing, but it's not what I want. That is for sure, especially when it comes to multiplayer. But so we have a lot of ongoings right now, currently with Bungie. Now, there was, and I sent this over to everyone. Let me see if I can find it over here. Okay, so the NeoGAF, of course, again, take this with a grain of salt. It's a rumor, right? This was posted the other day. Everyone ran with it. Even some of the, the really big journalists that I like ran with this story. And this is what some of the things that they had to say on this thread. Internal perspective at Sony is very negative towards Bungie right now. It is seen as a failed investment, and strategies are being discussed revolve around more of recouping losses. One internal leader from the U.S. is fighting to take over the right to ship, while many others across the Pacific, meaning Japan, want a much harsher method. Former U.S. leaders hold a lot of respect for the overseas leadership, so it's likely he or she will get their way. One of the things that's interesting here, and I'm gonna go first here to our guest, Pixelbit G. It says overall, Sony has been very upset with Bungie's leadership. They have not been able to successfully advise Sony teams while Lightfall hit internal revenue targets. Even targets since then has been missed and is escalating in a decline. Bungie leadership regularly reschedules meetings and with Sony leadership, they go on to say, known that the next time slot can be months away. Now, I do have some more information here. Now, this comes the way of again, there's I know a lot of people talk about some of the horrible decisions that were made at 343 during the first couple of years of Halo Infinite, and thank goodness all of those leaders are no longer telling anyone what to do. They've all been replaced. That's why Halo Infinite is so good. But Pixelbit G, we have a story here that was written by Tom Ivan of VGC, VideoGamesChronicles.com. Bungie's new marathon gets a new director while the Mobileye game is in a holding pattern. Now, this is not supposed to come until next year, but when you consider that this game was delayed, it's coming out in 2025. When? We don't know. We know that they are having some development woes with this game. Some people have talked about in certain circles that they don't know the direction of what they want this game to be. That is a problem. We do know that last year there was significant layoffs at Bungie, so they could, of course, recoup the loss of the delayed DLC for Destiny 2. Now, that is supposed to be coming out this year, but what we're hearing is that, and this is what I said, that Sony, I think, might have set up Bungie to fail. If they're unhappy with what they're doing, what their leadership is doing at Bungie, if they don't hit certain targets, Sony then gets the right to replace the entire board and fill it with their own people. If that happens, there's going to be a mass exodus, I think. What do you think? What do you thought? Is Bungie actually in trouble?
I mean, they've been in trouble since, I think, last summer, right? I mean,
yeah.
Those reports that were coming out were saying that there was a situation where Sony was thinking about replacing their board, right? And that's when all of this stuff came up about if they don't hit targets that they would actually replace the board, right? So now you're starting to see there's talks of major people from Bungie leaving the studio. You have a current replacement for the Marathon game, right? There's some talk about another game that was supposed to be in the works when Bungie first came over that was shelved. So this is just one of many issues that Sony has been having in its development houses. I think what's probably exacerbating it even more is supposedly Bungie being responsible for them canceling a lot of these other games.
Yes.
Right. So now here you got these guys who you brought in to be the thought leader, right? They're supposed to be the SMEs for you, right? Subject matter expert for those who don't know that, right? So and they're supposed to be telling you, hey, this is how these games are supposed to play. And then you have their game, Destiny, having problems, right? Not hitting targets, not releasing content on time, right? So I'm not a Destiny player, but I've heard there's been a lot of issues with it, right? So at some point, something has to give, right? And the way it's looking, right? Who knows if these guys make it past the summer, right? And then what kind of studio does Bungie become when the Mind Trust leaves, right? So
well, I have some context to that I think that you're going to find very interesting. Now, shout out to, of course, Post Up, who actually, well, he posted this, and see, I didn't know this. When I say PlayStation purchased, it's really Sony Interactive Entertainment, but when PlayStation acquired Bungie in, I believe it was 2022 for $3.6 billion, it was not an immediate payout. I was unaware of
had
that.
a loan; they didn't have any cash.
No, right. So this is what Post Up added to the conversation, and obviously this is going to go for everyone on the panel and of course in the chat. Post Up says this, and he has this clipped. Within the company, there is a growing expectation that senior company at Bungie or senior Bungie leadership will leave in droves in the summer of 2026 when the final payouts of Sony's acquisition of the company take effect. So they're paying off this thing in installments all the way through 2026. I did not know that. I thought it was, hey, here, buy the company, here's the money. That's not what happened. And it says this, with this in mind, this is the reason why there is a strong push to get Marathon out the door before then and let whoever takes the reins after that, be it Sony or Bungie, worry about how it's sustained. Wow. That is crazy.
Nope.
That is crazy. See, I didn't know about that stipulation. And on the Iron Lords, King David has had many a joke about them not having any money and renting studios, right? So
that's King David for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure he uses those exact words, but that's kind of how I read it, right? So but yeah, I mean they're in trouble, right? And I don't know what Bungie even does to correct that, right? Because if Sony's already in a position where it's like we feel like this is a bad investment, I'm not sure that there is a target they could hit that would make them reverse course, because you know how management kind of is, right? They start to make these plans 6 months ahead, and they're going to go forward, right? So I mean, I guess at this point we're gonna like wait and see the fallout, right? But if they rush this game out and it's not inside the game, the expansion out, and it's not a good expansion and it doesn't do well, boy, right? You're gonna get there's gonna be a lot of negative news coming out of Sony camp for the summer, right? So hopefully this summer showcase they have some stuff to show to try to mitigate the damage. But if they have to, like I said, if the update fails and Destiny, I don't know what's going to become of Destiny, because it has a fan base and those people generally come back, right? Kind of like the way the Halo fan base works. But it's just one more multiplayer game failure for these guys, right? Or just they've already canceled most of their multiplayer games. Helldivers has found its audience, right? But it's not an audience that's going to grow. It looks like, right? It looks like that is the audience that they have. And this is supposed to be their big hitter. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of wild.
It is. It is absolutely wild. Listen, Keasant, let's bring you in on the conversation. We've heard the terminology, and of course, we'll go to Crispy next. Who saves Savior? Now, what we're talking about is the Savior for multiplayer and the direction and the leadership behind how multiplayer and games as a service works was supposed to be Bungie. Bungie, and I'm going to pull up the story right now. I believe VGC reported on it. They have already missed the mark on pre-orders. Pre-orders are much lower than they anticipated for their next DLC. That's going to be a problem because if they don't hit the certain financial gains that they are required, this removal of their entire board and replaced by Sony's own people is going to happen. If that happens this summer, we're only in summer 2024. The final payout for Bungie and Bungie's acquisition is summer of 26. That's still 2 years away. We could see Bungie literally be just Bungie, kind of like what a BioWare is. BioWare is only its name. All of the leadership that made BioWare who and what they were are gone. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I am not surprised. We kind of got this a while back. People seem to forget. We forget the 2 and 2 equals 4 here. Remember when they did the purchase, and then not shortly, but sometime after, you heard there was a bunch of mass layoffs, right? And with those mass layoffs came the story that, hey, a lot of those employees got vested shares, but they weren't allowed to vest right away. It vested over time, as stocks do. And of course, they laid them off right before their shares vested, so they didn't have to pay them out. And it actually ultimately ended up saving them millions of dollars, right? Like that was the beginning of the craven moves that you heard from them. You know what I mean? So I am not surprised. They are in save budget mode right now. They are save money mode. I'll be honest with you, and this will be my bias speaking a little bit. I'll talk for and then against them. For them, I've played a lot of Destiny. Don't ask me what the story is. Don't ask me which DLCs that I've been playing. I just love the moment to moment because it reminds me of old school Halo. It has the same level of quality and all that. So at any moment's notice, it doesn't matter what DLC. It could be the stock game. You'll jump in there. You'll shoot and kill some monsters for a couple of hours and you'll feel good about it and move on with your life. They are still really great games in that respect. But even Microsoft said it. Their burn rate was high. You saw it in the leaked documents.
Yeah, they sure did say that.
Right. And they can handle it because obviously it's Microsoft. They got overhead. Why would you then go to the other guys who don't have as much overhead, who can't afford to let you go a little too far in the experimental direction because it'll cost them money? Makes sense to me, right? Also, and this is just my bias showing. I had a buddy of mine who used to work for them in as far as infrastructure. I'm an infrastructure guy, technology, horror stories. Some you've heard, some you haven't. Many you've heard that's come out on news as far as how they treat their employees and this and that. So I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for the leadership there. But yeah, this is a situation, right? Even those of us who are not like diehard Bungie player, what do you call it, Destiny players, back in the day, well, not even back in the day, recently, like until recently, that zeitgeist, that hype used to bleed into the mainstream. You'd hear about it. Oh, the next one is going to be amazing. You may try it and go, it's not for me, and move on. Even that has died down. So all this information that people are coming out with them not hitting their targets and there being fear there, I don't necessarily disagree with that. Even though yes, this is all rumor and speculation, I would very much not be surprised if and when that conclusion becomes that conclusion where they're taken over and the board is replaced, right? When we heard that news in the first place, I was like, you lost the fight when PlayStation bought you, right? There's conversation about how they were purchased, right? Because much like how Microsoft purchased some companies and put them under their Xbox umbrella, and then other companies stood adjacent. Bethesda's its own thing. It's not under Microsoft Game
XGS,
Studios,
yeah.
right? It's not under XGS, right? There's speculation. I haven't seen any like real proof, but I've heard some folks speculate that when the purchase was made, they were not made to be purchased under SIE, that they were their own entity, right? And they would allowed to be their own entity as long as they hit their targets. And if they don't hit their targets, then they get lumped back into SIE proper, and in doing so, all of their heads get right in favor of SIE's heads. So that's what seemingly might be going on here. Obviously, we're in speculation town. We're wearing the tinfoil koofies. That's all to be said. But I wouldn't be surprised, because even me, who, if you check my stats, I have a lot of hours played in that game. Again, I ain't got that many DLCs. I couldn't tell you what happened when. I just like walking around there shooting monsters. Even me, you can see the zeitgeist. The energy in the room has gone, right? Like I used to watch a lot of podcasts about Destiny 2, just in general, because there's just so much fervor there, so much excitement there. All that has pretty much dried up by and large. There are still some podcasts out there that still follow it, but the energy and the excitement of it is gone. So my question, I guess, to you guys is, do you think this ultimately is a bad move if Sony comes in and replaces the board? Because say what you will about Sony, what they really know how to do is tell a cinematic story, tell the story they want to tell, and get that quality up historically. I know things change, but historically they've been good at that. So maybe that's what Bungie needs to get their story right, because their story hasn't been right for some time. And even the public is making note of that. I hope people land on their feet who don't make it through this, but ultimately it might be in the best interest of Bungie and the franchise of Destiny as a whole. I don't know. I'm just speculating there.
It's interesting. Well, you know what? I want to bring Fuzzy over the I said Fuzzy Crispy into this. I pulled a story from Dextro. This was written by Liam Ho. It was posted in the end of February, February 27th. But it's relevant to the conversation because obviously, since this report, the scaling report, if you will, Crispy, this is where we hear the and it's not really a hostile takeover. They own the company, but they are obviously have lost faith with leadership. According to the Dextro report, it says Destiny 2, the final shape pre-orders reportedly have plummeted since the Lightfall missteps. So they are way down in pre-orders for the final shape. That's not good. And what that ultimately says, and this is where this is again super speculation town. The one trait of 2024, which is one of the worst years for anyone that is a developer, has been the turnover rate of how many people have been let go from their companies. It's in the thousands. As a matter of fact, it's leaps and bounds higher than all of last year through the first 60 days of 2024. That is not only terrifying, but incredibly disappointing for an industry that just continues to make billions and billions of dollars each year. If this comes to fruition, right, and we are obviously seeing that we have the report in front of us from Dextro that the pre-orders have plummeted. What that potentially says is there may be another round of layoffs at Bungie, so they could, of course, save money in order not to get taken over. I don't know if that's going to work. What are your thoughts on of what's going on in Bungie right now? Do you think that you're going to see a Sony takeover?
Oh, absolutely. Unless they back out. I mean, they've done it with Activision. They've done it with Microsoft.
They'd have to buy themselves back. I don't know if they could.
Depends who backs them.
That's true.
Just saying. I mean, if I'll be honest with you, two of the best games I've ever played were Halo, but it was Halo 3 and it was Halo Reach. And Halo Reach, I mean, if you have never completed that game, please do. You will be bawling your eyes out by the end. And I can almost guarantee it. And this is why I love the Halo series, because it's giving me those feels that I felt through Halo Reach. I truly love that game. Okay. It's like Gears 2 and Halo Reach is right behind. Okay. That's how I feel about that game, because it really made you feel something. And I feel they've lost their way. They're money hatting themselves. They're trying to stay afloat. And they said, oh, Sony's the better realm to go into right now. And they thought they were going to be able to go on narratives that were logical. But when you have Eurogamer less than 10 hours ago say, hey, they brought out a new Horde mode. We played Horde before. Isn't that what Destiny is to begin with? Eurogamer. Go look it up by all means. Like
yeah,
10 hours
I
ago.
guess it is, right?
I mean, isn't that basically what it is? I mean, this is where I go and say, hey, you don't want to give Gears credit, but they did it. The zombies was not before Gears 2, bro. Gears 2 relished all of these things that we consider Horde mode. Okay, people? Like, relax. Like, understand that Bungie is supposed to be Bungie.
Yeah.
And they don't feel like Bungie anymore. And
No.
it's sad. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a Destiny player, but I know the value of those developers and what they've done and what I've seen and what I've played from them. So the amount of disrespect that Sony's giving them right now, and trust me, Activision wasn't much better, and Microsoft definitely wasn't much better. But at the end of the day, they let them walk. And I feel like Sony's like, no, you got to make us something. And they made the IP. Microsoft purchased the IP. They worked with Activision. Activision got one game and let them go. Right? What are we saying here? They are acting like they own Bungie, and I'm sure the contract does not say so. And they are screaming like a piggy, sitting there, meh, 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 help. And they can't. And then all we see is a new DLC. I thought they were done. I thought the light one was done.
I think this is technically the final DLC, and they're gonna move on to something else.
But I swear to God, I saw an article that said that was the final DLC. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, to see the light is the end of the tunnel, baby. Like, I'm sorry. So now it's the final shape. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, what are you doing to them? And then the marathon thing, dude. You gotta let developers do what they want, and if there's enough of them still there, they're gonna leave by the end of this, and that's on you, Sony, because you bought them. That's on you. And you know what? If there's a clause in there that they could leave and buy you out for like $100 million or something, who's to say they shouldn't? Because they've done that before with Activision. I know that. Microsoft basically said, go ahead, and then we're going to buy the IP from you. Activision, I believe they bought Activision's, shares out. And they said, okay, we're leaving. We're done. Okay. Now I don't know. I don't know what's going, because it wasn't $3 billion back then. It was like maybe like close to $1 billion, but I don't believe that was even that much. So you look at this, you say $3 billion, like how much is the shareholder thought process change? Are they part of the shares that involve Sony? Do they have a fiduciary duty to do the right thing for Sony because there's something in their clause for that? I don't know. I'm not a legal analyst. I didn't look at their entire agreement with Sony. All I'm telling you is Bungie is lost right now. And that upsets the hell out of me, because if you're going to go and say your favorite Halo, mine is Reach or Halo 3, and they are damn close. You know what I mean? And those are both Bungie made those games. And I say we are so far from that at this point, and it pisses me the hell off.
I mean, listen, you're not wrong. I don't know what's going to happen. It does appear, like I said in the opening, that I think that PlayStation has had enough of Bungie's shenanigans. I think you're going to see a mass exodus. What does that mean? Well, we're going to find out. Obviously, it's in numerous reports that it's a thought and a potential theory that in 2026, when the final payout comes, they're going to want leadership. And of course, senior leadership is going to want to leave. Well, that makes sense. They're going to move on to do their own things. Maybe start their own studios. Maybe go work for someone else. They're going to get paid. What does that mean for the developer? Well, I don't know. But if Sony does take over, it's going to be very interesting to see what a Sony, first-party studios management potentially will do for Bungie. Will it make it better? Will it make it worse? Well, all I know is time is going to tell. A couple of people in the chat seem to think that it will benefit Bungie as a studio potentially, but again, when they were purchased, they were originally purchased to streamline what gas games meant for Sony, and they are struggling. So I don't know what happens now, because if you look at what's happened since December, since the announcement and cancellation of Last of Us Online, we've seen is gas games get canceled. Twisted Metal, the potential SOCOM games, the Spider-Man game. It's a ton.
You know what, Boom?
Yes.
While you're talking, I had a bit of an epiphany, right?
Oh, yeah.
They bought them for their gas game expertise, right?
Correct.
And since that time, they haven't really come to fruition with any real gas games. Their own gas game has kind of cratered and is kind of falling down the hill a little bit. They've had gas games cancel since that time, right? But Totoki shows up. He's trying to streamline things, trying to make sure that they make some money. And who's making money right now? It's Helldivers 2, a gas game that Bungie had no effect on at all. So it's like, well, why did we buy these guys? Their game ain't going well. They haven't been able to help us. And this second party studio is doing it right without any influence.
Yep.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, to be honest with you, to see. And again, I played it. I quite enjoyed it. I think Helldivers is amazing. Again, I haven't been back in a while. I've been playing the shit out of Halo Infinite. I just can't stop playing it. It's freaking amazing. I'll get back to Helldivers. I would probably play more Helldivers if it was on Xbox, because that's my preferred console. But I don't mind. I bought the deluxe edition. I'm not sorry that I did. I had a lot of fun with randos, and they have so much they're going to be adding to the game. It's definitely a giant W for PlayStation, because they don't have multiplayer. This game resonated with so many people on PlayStation. And you know what's crazy? They're mostly Xbox gamers who have PlayStation PS5s that are actually playing it. But listen, we got 22 minutes left in the show. Okay. I think that it would be almost disrespectful, gentlemen, if we did not make mention and play the trailer. Now, hopefully I don't get flagged by Marvel for this. The Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. I may leave the sound off, folks, just because I don't want to get a strike, and I don't know how, anything with WB, you're going to get a strike. I'm not sure so much with Marvel, but I can play it with no sound. If you miss this trailer, holy shit, does this game look ridiculous? So let me do a screen share here and play it for you folks. This is, of course, the Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra game coming out with Captain America and, of course, Black Panther. Not current Black Panther from 1943, which I believe is his pops.
Grandpa.
So yeah, so let's check this out, folks. Again, sound is off. Apologies. I just don't want to get flagged by Marvel, and that's I don't know how Marvel rolls, so bear with me and just and no closed captions. Get that out of there. Check it out. I would love to play the sound, but
so since there's no sound, can we talk real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. By all means,
I see it. I see actual scratches on there. So that's the adamantium.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't seen this full trailer. I've only seen bits and pieces. So this is exciting for me. I'm looking forward to Amy Hennig getting her just dessert. She needs to get her flowers for this one.
She should. She should. As a matter of fact, just real quick, I want to read Hazardor Gaming actually put this out there in a quote from Amy Hennig herself. She says, Marvel's 1943 rise. Hold on a sec. Yeah, let me pull it up. Amy Hennig says Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra story trailer was not some custom demo. It was running real time in Unreal Engine 5, no smoke and no mirrors.
Very nice. Yeah, as you know, I'm biased. I'm super excited. I can't wait for this, man. Oh, I can't wait for this. This is gonna be great.
Look at that, dude. That's crazy.
The facial animations are amazing. And oh, by the way, I'm obviously my big Black Panther fan. I didn't read as much of the comics as, say, John Wolfe, who has spoken to me about it a little bit.
Pixel. But go ahead.
Or Pixel. Okay. I've read more of the newer stories. I've read more of the cerebral stuff. Based on the historical, and you can tell me, Pixel, based on the timeline and the specific Black Panther, he's supposedly the most brutal Black Panther out there.
Yes.
Where when people would invade Wakanda, he would behead them and use them as like to show off that, hey, this is what happens to you when you invade our territory. He was that brutal. Like that was
he's the one that when and I guess it would Captain America, because he's Captain's very old. If they're being true to the law, one, he should get his ass handed to him, because that's what happens. And basically he when Captain America enters Wakanda under US trying to mind their own business. He attacks him and he knocks him out, sends him home. So yeah, he was not about incursions or being cute with the US or any other outside country. So this is they're all about being inside. So but yeah, this is that's I'm not sure. Is that T'Chaka? Or would it be the Grand?
Yes, Mr. Xbot says that's T'Chaka. Yeah, it is. It's not T'Challa, obviously, because he's not even born yet.
T'Challa's pops as a young man. So I mean, I mean, it's gonna be dope because it's for the era and like visually,
listen. Everybody needs to realize that he's the one that developed Killmonger because he killed his own brother. Okay, like people dude, that's in the movie is actually legitimate on that fact. Okay, like he looked at and he said no, like, and Killmonger is a development from the amount of hate that this man had at times. Okay, and that's fine. All right, I mean, you're being disrespected. Of course, you're gonna friggin' have hate. That's the point.
Looking forward to how that works, like in the story, because I need some brutality. They can't all be milk toast, they got to use the claws.
But you can tell based on at least the clip that they're showing, right, that this is the initial interaction between them is animosity, right? This isn't a friend relationship, right? These two countries aren't aligned at this time, so I mean they'll find a reason to join up, but I think initially, as you can see, right, it's all contentious. So
you know what's interesting though, gentlemen. So you see the end of the trailer, they show the four characters. There is an African-American U.S. soldier that plays a big part in this, and there is a female that is from Wakanda. From what we heard, the early reports is that you're going to get a chance to use all four people, which I think is dope. There's going to be instances where you use obviously Black Panther. There's going to be you're going to use Captain America, but to use the non-superhero-esque people as well, I think is going to be dope.
But because she would be Dora Milaje, right? So
Dora Milaje, which she's not normal.
Yeah, they're not normal. They're kind of super soldiers as well. And in the video, they do say that there's three super soldiers running around, including Captain America. So I'm not sure that if they're not also including her as a super soldier.
Okay,
but they're not normal human speed or power and stuff like that, right? They're a little enhanced as well. So
I tell you, that was a great surprise today, because again, I think you're onto something. I think if you look at the history of what's happened to Amy Hennig in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, it's been a bit unfair. Like, obviously, she was sent to the wayside by Sony. She worked for Naughty Dog. She was responsible for Uncharted 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed, yes.
She was working on 3, and she
Yes.
was then fired.
She was also assisted in writing The Last of Us Part 1. Didn't get to Part 2, but they all like we will never know the full details there. But I feel somehow, some way, she may have been shoved aside, and her foundation and her what she brought to the table wasn't represented. I mean, remember Legacy of Kain? That is her.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
so you know she got the chops.
Really?
Yes. Legacy of Kain is Amy Hennig.
Yo,
yes,
that is like some of the best writing ever in video games.
This is why I'm saying somewhere, somehow,
the Legacy of Kain series. Find it on God or someplace else. And
there you go.
You can see what true greatness is. But go ahead. Yeah.
This is why I'm saying that we won't know where her contribution ended and where others started. But I dare say she got short shrift and she deserves her flowers. And hopefully this is where they will let her shine, because that woman knows how to write. She's always known how to write, and this may be her vehicle to show you what she actually brought to the table. So hey, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, Torino Johnson in the chat. Torino, welcome as always. He says, guys, there are different versions of the story, and Marvel did a modern variation of the story for the films. I've been reading Black Panther since he got his own comic in 1975.
That's what's
he
up.
was an FFG 4 in 65. Wow, dude. Like that
salute to you, sir.
Salute to you indeed, brother. That is dope. And Abdel 114 goes on to say Druckmann stole her place. He did Uncharted 4 while she was given credit, because even though she didn't finish 3, she was given credit in for 3, even though they changed the story. They literally changed everything that she wrote. She still got writing credit,
production credit.
For the production. I'm right there with you. I'm very happy with what I saw. What a treat today, because of course I'm a big fan of anyone. If you are a fan of whatever film, whether it's DC, whether it's Marvel, you should check out a channel called Emergency Awesome. The guy has like 4 million subscribers. It's like ridiculous. His name is Charlie. I saw him tweet about something. Like, wait a second, what? And I saw Marvel 1943. I'm like, oh, is that a new film that we did? That like Kevin Feige? I'm like, holy shit, that's a game. What a great surprise. Honestly, what a great surprise today, because we did hear that there was a Black Panther Captain America game. We just didn't hear nothing about it, and now we got a chance to actually see it. That game looks fire, coming out in 2025 according to the trailer. That's dope. I'm very excited for that. But look, folks, this has been a great show. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. To 1, hit the like button. 2, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. That would be really cool of you. And if you're feeling super extra generous, throw this out on the socials and let people know about Double Barrel Gaming, because maybe some people don't. Let's get to the outros and we'll get everyone on out of here. We'll start first with our very special guest, Pixel Bit G. Brother, it was great to have you on the show as always. You're tremendously insightful, very knowledgeable when it comes, of course, to the tech. Please, by all means, sell your brand, brother. What you got going on, and where can people follow you on social media?
Man, as always, man, I appreciate being on the show with you guys. K Asante, we go back, right? Pleasure being on the show with you, Crispy. I'm not sure we've been on the show before, you know what I'm saying, but always good to see you, and I hear you on shows all the time. So I will be on I think it's Gamers Playground on Saturday, and I'll be with Bull Sitting on Friday.
Oh, nice. With Ham Solo and company.
With Solo and company. I think then Saturday I'll be on with Retri and them. So I got myself a little busy week ahead of me. Other than that, you can find me on X under Pixelated G, usually getting at some fool. Having too much fun on X. And you know, and sometimes I do post some of my own stuff, but I have been way too busy with work and life right now to actually make videos. So, you know, as always, I respect you guys who have time to dedicate yourself to the crowds. And I know half the time you guys don't have time, and you make time for it anyway. So, you know, always impressing. Like, I've been following, Boom for a long time. So I think Boom was the first one to put me on. So,
well,
as always, man, appreciate it.
Great to have you here as always. Great to have the knowledge that you bring to almost every show that you're on. Super appreciate you taking the time from family time to be here. Real quick before we bring in Crispy Bomb, get his outro. Midnight drops, who's been a channel member for 16 months. Dude, that is crazy generous of you. He says, Boom, thank you for all of the insightful information and entertainment that you and your panel provide. Love the shows. Brother, that is crazy. That's kind great of you to say. Thank you for the very, very kind words, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Crispy Bomb,
hold on a second. Let me just jump in real quick. Actually, I think Asante might have been the first to put me on, and then Boom was the second one.
Yes, I believe that's actually how it went down. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
We've been on together. The way.
It's true, but Boom put me on, so by osmosis you were still right anyway.
All right, fair enough.
Listen, I tried to get I tried to get as many new voices on possible.
Like Boom, I'm old.
Osmosis Jones in the house. Let's go.
I love it. Yeah, that's one of the things that's the part that is the groundwork of the channel is you know who Boom is, right? So I'm not trying to sell you me. What we're trying to do is give a voice for others who don't have big channels, who are starting their own channel. So if you're starting your own channel, you're non-toxic, you can be PG-13, DM me and we'll get you on the show. We'll help promote your brand. As long as you're not selling hate, I can't sell hate. That we don't do that here, so I'm not going to do it for you. If you are someone that wants to be proactive in the community, you want to be fun and you want to have conversation, DM me and we can figure out and get you on the show. I do 5 shows a week, folks, so there's room for everybody, especially if you're first starting out. A lot of people need a little bit of a push, and we're here to give you that push. Thank you so much. But Crispy Bomb, sell your brand, brother. Where could people find you on social media, and what else you got going on?
I mean, I appreciate the invite. Shout out to the chat. Pixel, I can't pinpoint it. It might have been either on the many shows Boom does, because I've been on like every one of them.
For real,
it could be. I mean, I do remember you.
It could have been someplace else too, because that might have been on Metro show. So I've been around.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you've been around for a while. Like, don't discredit yourself. I see you, bro. I appreciate you, and I will tell you, I loved the chat. I didn't have to snipe nobody tonight. Like, a very cordial. Like, let's have a conversation. Let's chill out. At Chris Bomb on X, not Twitter. It's not Twitter anymore. I love y'all that still say Twitter. I still love you for it, but it's X. Chris Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me on Breakfast with Boom Friday 10 a.m. And like you see tonight, you never know where I'll show up. We'll see you then.
Yeah, absolutely. And Highlander, I actually did read your $10 super chat, but I'll read it again. So thank you so much once again for the consistent generosity, brother. If again, maybe you stepped away. He said, "Hey, Boom and panel, Microsoft is helping with an AI program with General Dynamics, turning older F-16s into armed autonomous drones. Yes, making Microsoft $15 billion. Well, they did sign that big military contract. There are 6 movies saying this is bad." I mean, again, I said it before, and I'll say it again, folks. We are a stone throw away from Skynet, and I'm worried. I'm gonna be honest with you. But Asante, you have a monster show this Saturday, and of course, Pixelbit G is going to be one of the people on there. I think you also have, if I'm not mistaken, Risk It for the Biscuit and someone else that you talked about. Who was it? Oh, the Black Viking is going to be.
It's not me. It's Viking and Risk It this week.
Viking and Risk It today.
Oh, I thought you said that, Pixel. I thought you said you were going to be on there this weekend.
No, I've been on Retro show on Saturday.
Retro show. Okay.
But you never know. You never know. Pixelated G might feel the need to come on air and lay somebody flat, and we always leave the back door open for the man. So keep your eyes.
I love it. I love it.
He has a dedicated key to enter whenever he feels the need to, and slap somebody across their face, and then peace out. That's how he do.
Yeah,
and we appreciate him.
Sometimes you need to slap somebody in the face. That's
what I'm
such
saying?
life.
Yes. Indeed. We call him the Hammer on my show. He's allowed to come and backhand real quick.
My bad. I know that's Slow-Mo's logo, so I don't want to steal his shine.
But yes,
yeah. Tell the brand, brother. Tell everyone about the show.
We will have a show, yeah. And sometimes it grows organic, and this time it was an organic one. It looks to be it's going to be really fun. Of course, we have the Black Viking, who's making a great name for himself. Great,
indeed.
Oh, of course, Everborn Saga had to come in here and pause me. Get out of here, man! What's wrong with you? Where are you at? Get on the show. Anyway, the Black Viking will be on the show on GCP this weekend, and of course, they were having a back and forth. Him and the great argumentative one himself. And that, of course, is Risk It for the Biscuit. So we're like, all right, well, let's have that debate. And of course, what is the debate?
Yeah, let's do it live. Yeah.
Let's do it live, right?
Yeah,
let's do it live. And the debate, of course, being what should Microsoft do? Should they respond to the Pro? Some people think they should, some people think they shouldn't. And I had a lot of fun creating that thumbnail. So I'm like, let's do it. We're going to have some fun this weekend. So
you should have put a verses in the middle of those two character.
I was gonna, but then it was going to be too, it was going to be too enticing. It was going to be too much.
A prize fight.
But no, I'm rather proud of myself. I think I pictured the essence of both of them quite well. So I'm real happy that it worked out. So yeah, good job there. Come check us out. Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be on there. We're going to be talking games. We'll be talking about all this other stuff. And we're going to be having a nice little debate as to what the Xbox community think. Hey, should they, shouldn't they? What are all thoughts? It's a safe space. We're going to be debating the merits rather than the people. So
I'll be there in the chat as I usually am.
Indeed. And of course, on Monday nights, myself and the John Wolf will have more gaming talk. We're talking more with a PC centric flow. Boom, you'll like this one. We're gonna be talking all about the Contra remake because I got a chance to play it. He's playing it right now. Man, we're gonna talk about that. It's really cool. So come check us out. We love the indies. We love talking games, and on the channel. Of course, appreciate being on as usual. The great Crispy Bomb. Boom, of course, and yes, the Hammer himself, Mr. Pixelbit G. Thank y'all so much. So we'll see y'all next week.
They call him the human hammer. I love it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you to all of the super chats and the continued support through channel membership. We truly appreciate it. We are humbled beyond words because, again, we don't do this for money, but the support does allow for us to maintain the channel with its programs, with its graphics, because I don't have a degree in that. Everything that we do for the channel, we pay for. All the artwork comes the way of of an incredible artist known as Sean Labrie. He's done all the work for the channel. He's responsible for making the channel look as pristine as it does. That's all him. He's done all the intros, all the outros, all of the overlays. That's all him. And obviously, that costs money. And unfortunately, we're not rich here because we're still a small channel. But that's where a lot of the channel membership and the super chats go to. After, of course, Google gets their 30%. But we also are allowed to do these big giveaways. And last year we gave over $3,500 away. And this year we're going to up the ante, and it's going to be even more. So a big thank you to all of that. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends.